In the aftermath of Caitlin Clark doing that Time magazine interview, where now they got her dressing like a little skank. But anyway, in the aftermath of that interview where she apologized for being white, despite her being overwhelmingly attacked by the angry lesbian chicks of the league in and outside of the league. As you expect, a lot of people that are tired of hearing about white guilt and people apologizing for this fake privilege that doesn't exist when it comes to so called white folks, of course they're upset and they've been critical. And as you would expect, you have, a lot of the haters of Caitlin Clark on uh, YouTube and other platforms pretty much celebrating the fact that they got her to a grovel and apologize and now are putting up a fake defense of her by saying, oh, see, they didn't even like her anyway. Or maybe they just didn't care for her apologizing for being so called white. But despite all of this, evidence through history is proven these black women are still attacking her. Case in point, SHERYL Swoops, the owner of the Mystics, who's a half breed black chick, they all pretty much rejected the fact of Caitlin Clark being the, I think, Times Athlete of the Year. And as you would expect, they're saying it should be Angel Reese or other athletes should be considered. I think one of them mentioned Simone Biles, which is, comical because even with Simone Biles, they attacked her because she had the audacity to stand by her husband when he said he's the prize. But it really just further highlights how just pure evil these people are. And I'm not talking about the kind of evil where, you're like murdering people or, torturing them physically or anything like that. It's just the psychological demons these people are because they're fully aware of their privilege and the fact that this white privilege thing is a myth, but they just personally get off on the emotional high whenever they can get another white person to fold. And especially when you're talking about black women who hate white women. I mean, we see it in their hair, where they're trying to imitate their hairstylings, and we see it in the conversations, revolving around divestors, swirlers, interracial dating, that in reality, despite all the pro blackity black talk, they desire to be with someone white. Hell, even when one of these WNBA ball players, like a Candace Parker, decides to leave their black husband and go the lesbian route that you expect these WNBA players to go, they too, the black females, end up going to a white woman. So it's not just isolated to pro black men who will talk that pro blackity black talk and still get with a white woman. No, the lesbian black women do the same thing too. And that's if they're not with, a white man or seeking to be with one. And so that just really highlights why they despise her. They despise not just her so-called whiteness, her achievements and the praise that she receives, but they also despise her heterosexuality. And they won't be satisfied until she's a lesbian, dating a black woman, where she's the girl in the relationship. Like, that's how much they want to submit her. Kind of like prison life. They want to submit you all the way. And, it's a lesson that Caitlin Clark is going to learn. And not only is it her own fault, but it's the fault of her parents. Because I can guarantee you, just like too many so called white folks in this country, she was raised with white guilt. She was raised to fear people that hate her instead of raising her with strength and teaching her to, you know, despite, or I should say, despise people who despise you back. I mean, I think that's very healthy because you're teaching people to protect themselves as opposed to grovel or leave yourself vulnerable, even when you know the person wants to destroy you. But anyway, I'm just looking forward now to the news reports from the next season when it gets started and whether or not she'll have as much of a supporting base as she has right now. Because to me, Caitlin Clark has officially made herself a horrible example. Now, first and foremost, people shouldn't be using any celebrities as any type of role models anyway. But to even not be a fan of, but just a supporter of someone that then apologizes towards people who hate them and is, again, a very public news piece, this whole Time article. Because, they're talking about it if you follow anything sports related. And so, the young girls that may be watching her now, well, they're just hearing that they need to, basically hate themselves more in order to go along and get along with people who openly despise them. And there's no more racist of a group of people than liberal black women. Black people in general are very prejudiced, racist, but black women tend to stand out. And we've seen a prime example of that with, what's been going on with this Caitlin Clark situation. And again, just the fakeness that comes in the aftermath of her groveling and apologizing and using that as an opportunity to discredit any of the supporters, any of the vocal supporters that she had previously. When they're purposely avoiding the fact that they're upset at the fact that she's apologizing when she has nothing to be apologized, since she's the one that's been verbally and even physically attacked by her haters. But again, this is what comes with people who are just psychologically demonic.